Hello, friends, and welcome to our July of 2025 astrological preview video. My name is Jenny Sellers, and I am the creator of True North Empowerment. And it is my joy each month to kind of give you the roadmap for the month ahead as it pertains to the planetary alignments in the sky. So, with that, we will dive right in. So, at the end of last month in June, Jupiter had just entered Cancer. And so the planet of expansion is finding its home in our home and family lives, as well as our emotional lives. And so, where in your life are you feeling some of that expansion happening? Um, Again, at the end of last month and leading at the start of this month, we had a point of tension, which is also in astrology known as a square to Saturn and Neptune in Aries. And all that means is that there may be a point of tension in your life as it pertains to your emotions and your home and family lives with your dreams and reality, or how to really bring your dreams into reality. So just know that that is present for us as we step into the beginning of July. The rest of this stuff doesn't really start happening until July 4th. So happy birthday, USA. And this is as Venus moves into Gemini. Venus, the planet of relationships and finances and self worth and self value, is shifting from Taurus, which is the sign of our foundations, our physical foundations, the homes we live in, our access to any kind of resources that help support us. So Venus is moving from Taurus into Gemini, which is the sign of information sharing, of communication, of new ideas forming. So our worth and our value, and even in our relationships, we could be having new ideas. We could be expressing ourselves in ways that we are not used to. This is just kind of Venus entering Gemini. And I'm bringing this up because Uranus, the planet of powerful, unexpected change, is about to shift signs as well. So Venus is going to join up with Uranus in Taurus before both of those planets shift into Gemini. This is a big deal because Uranus spends 84 years in a given sign. Or, sorry, Uranus's orbit around the sun is 84 years long. And so it spends 7 years in a given sign. So as Uranus is moving from Taurus into Gemini, it is the perfect time to reflect back over the last 7 years and how your home and family lives have changed unexpectedly. That can be the physical structures in which you live, it can be your access to resources, be that money, food, investments, friendships, anything that you invest in over the last 7 years has likely changed in ways you couldn't have imagined at the start of this last 7 year cycle. Uranus is about to move into Gemini, which again, as the sign of communication, idea formation, how information is shared across channels. It has not been in this part of the sky since 1941. And when we think back to the 1940s and how communication across channels changed, there was dramatic change during that time of history in the way information was shared and transferred and how knowledge was shared. Um, with World War II, there were needs in radio communication, phone communication. The TV era was just kind of kicking into gear. And so those are the kinds of changes that were transpiring back then. We can expect similar things happening as Uranus makes its home in Gemini over the next 7 years. So, the perfect time to reflect back on how your home and family lives and your foundations of your world have changed as we prepare for this new 7 year cycle that is beginning on July 7th. On the 10th, we have the full moon in Capricorn. So, this is a great time to look at what we need to release and let go of, and kind of just like let our tight grip go on the to-do list, on the things that we feel like we have to get done. Just let that go on the 10th and around the 10th. And this full moon of Capricorn, to invite in looking at the self and what the self needs, doing a little bit of a deep dive in Cancer season, the sign of the quiet whisper of the soul, are tied to our emotions and our home and family lives. So that's on the 10th. On the 13th, Saturn is turning retrograde, and it will stay retrograde until November 27th. During this time of retrograde, On May 24th, Saturn switched signs for the first time in 2.5 years. It moved from Pisces into Aries. So between July 13th and November 27th, on September 1st, Saturn is during its retrograde period is going to transit back into Pisces. So just know that between now and September 1st, the planet that's tied to our to-do list, boundaries, structures, foundations, our drive to just check things off the list is going to be taking a back seat. And then by September 1st, it's going to return into the sign of Pisces, where it will remain for the remainder of the year. So we have this preview period between May 24th and September 1st of what Saturn in Aries might provide for the next 2.5 years. But it will retrograde back into Pisces on September 1st. So that's on the 13th when Saturn turns retrograde. Then on the 18th, Mercury joins the retrograde parade, if you will. And so Mercury's turning retrograde on the 18th. This is not cause for worry or concern. It is just a reminder that communication might go a little wonky. Be careful with your words, both to yourself as well as how you express them to others, because oftentimes our filters get a little bit out of whack during Mercury retrograde. So on July 18th, it starts its retrograde cycle. It will end on August 11th. And this is all happening in the sign of Leo, the sign of the self. So just be aware of that. On the 19th, the sun in Cancer, again, our emotions, our home, our family lives, is making a square. So again, another little bit of a tension point to Chiron in Aries. And so Chiron is the asteroid that's tied to our deepest wounds and patterns. And so we might be feeling a little bit extra raw, extra sensitive around the 19th. On the 22nd, the sun moves into Leo, so we are fully engulfed in Leo season. This is a great time of year to kind of enjoy some play and fun and creativity and tap into your passions again. Think of the inner child and just be creative and playful and spontaneous, all of those things that Leo is. And then on the 24th, we have the new moon in Leo, so it's a great time to set intentions around all of those themes. We do also have on the 24th, the sun is opposing Pluto in Aquarius. So just be aware that there could be some tension points and a little bit of push-pull activity around the 24th. On the 30th, Chiron, again, the asteroid that's tied to our deepest wounds and patterns, will go retrograde until January 2nd. And so this is kind of important because Chiron turning retrograde encourages us to really look at healing, really diving in and returning to ourselves and what we need, how we can heal, generational trauma or cycles that we've been dealing with our whole lives, and really finding that effort of healing from within. And so we have this beautiful time between July 30th and January 2nd. And I think it's so cool that Chiron turns direct at the start of the new year, after we've been encouraged to kind of do some of this healing work, to really just focus on healing and taking care of ourselves. So just be aware of that by the end of the month. On the 30th, also Venus moves into Cancer. So we're looking at value and our emotions and the people that we share those emotions with. And the 31st, the sun joins Mercury in Leo. So there's a lot of Leo stuff happening. There's a lot of, and in between all of this, there's lots of trines, which are positive. Trines and sextiles in astrology are positive energy flow, and ease of energy flow aspects. And there's lots of that stuff peppered in between all of this stuff throughout the month. So it really is a powerful month for kind of taking a breather and for resting and recharging, investing in the self. And it has the ability to kind of allow us to just shake things off and give us some breathing room before we step into whatever lies ahead. So rest up, take good care, and I will see you next month.